Good evening, good evening. Well, good night. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Late Show with CEO. Today we're going to be covering Mayor Zohran Mamdani and his rent freeze. There's rumors that this rent freeze possibly may be illegal. So I got a few videos on the topic queued up. And let's go over that to see what's going on, because the rent freeze sounds good in concept, but is it actually legal in practice? So let me pull that up. How you do that? Add to stage. Hit that one right there. So let's get into this and see how it goes.
A judge set a bond for the mother accused of shooting and killing a man she found.
Oh, that's the wrong video. My bad, y'all. That's the wrong video. That is the wrong video. Yeah, my bad, y'all. I didn't know. I got a couple of tabs open. I had the wrong tab open.
Change the subject.
Here we go. And we're back. Here we go. This is the video. So, once again, it's a possibility that the rent freeze that Mayor Mamdani put on New York landlords may be illegal. Let's get into that.
Change the subject. A group of landlords in New York City suing over Mayor Mamdani's rent freeze. They say the board which passed the resolution was packed with Mamdani loyalists, and they were voting based on manipulated data. Kenny Burgos is the CEO of the New York Apartment Association. So I'll get it right, Kenny. And he joins me now. You represent a lot of landlords. Why do they say the rent freeze is illegal? On what grounds is it illegal?
Yeah, we represent thousands of rent-stabilized landlords across the city, and it's illegal because you have seen Mayor Mamdani from the campaign through today be completely forthcoming in saying that he wants to see a rent freeze, and he has delivered that by installing 6 members onto the Rent Guidelines Board, and they have ignored the data that they presented when they acknowledge costs have gone up 5% and then make the justification for a 2-year rent freeze on some sort of future capital injection that they both have no power over and no knowledge that it will come. And that is outside the bounds of their legal doctrine. And so that is a question that this lawsuit brings. We are not party to this lawsuit, but I think it raises questions that we have been elevating for years now.
So you're suing, or your group is suing?
No, we're not suing. These are 6 small property owners.
The landlords themselves. It's
Correct.
A small group of them. Okay. And they're suing on the grounds that the numbers are bogus, and that those numbers were considered by a group appointed entirely by Mamdani.
Well,
but there's nothing illegal about that.
No, more so the suit is actually about the process that's being called into question and deserves questioning. You have a member of the Rent Guidelines Board the morning of the vote who resigned in protest, who's sitting inside the room, who has said that this was a predetermined outcome. That requires and that warrants real questions in the court of law.
Now, Mayor Mamdani has appointed a very progressive antitrust regulator, Lena Khan. He's appointed her to the city's Economic Development Corporation. She's the chair, or would be the chair. Do you think she'll make New York more affordable? She's always having a go at the big tech companies.
I think the question is less if it would be more affordable, and it's really looking at what has been the playbook for Mayor Mamdani. And it's always the same one. It's right. He will make an announcement that seems to be acknowledging business interests or other interests that have concerns with how he's governing. You see it with the appointment of Shores being the CEO of EDC, former McKinsey partner, not exactly a friend to the left, but then appoints Lena Khan as the chair of the board, who has superior power over Shores. And he's done this for properties as well, where he acknowledges insurance costs have gone up and then puts in policies that go in the complete opposite direction of what he claims to intend to try and fix, which would be the rising insurance costs. And so this is the playbook that he plays out, where the layperson watches his announcement and thinks this is a mayor who is coming out balanced and acknowledging all sides, but then folks like me who follow this very closely day to day see the policy in the direction that it really wants to go, which is not...
It's a very radical administration. The Mamdani administration is very much to the left of center. But I would suggest that if the election were held again today, he'd have an even bigger majority.
No doubt that he's one of the most popular
popular guy.
politicians today.
Yeah, he's popular in New York because this man knows how to speak to people, right? I say this a lot when we talk about him over here in the house or when I'm talking with associates about it. Mamdani knows how to speak, right? Mamdani has a way of answering questions without answering the question. Like you'll ask him a question, he'll answer the question and give you his ideas, right? Without actually answering the question. And I don't think if he was to run again, he would win because he started, like, all of his policies is not bad, right? The idea of a rent freeze sounds good. Sounds good, but don't work in practice, right? He also did the limit on whether the renters could either check your credit or check your income. You can't have both. That is a great idea because back when I was looking for spots in New York City around 2019, one, we had to pay the application fee, we had to pay the broker fee, first, last month security, and make 40 times the rent. And the rents was astronomical, right? We're talking about $2,700 a month for a 2-bedroom in Bushwick. These apartments were nice though, I ain't gonna even front. And I think it is fair that they either check the income or the credit score and you get in, like stuff like that. But then he also got these policies where free buses, right? He ran on that. We're going to make free New York City buses. When you crunch the numbers, you can't make it happen. And then plus, it was a fair increase on the buses, right? They didn't get free. They got more expensive, right? It went from, I believe, I don't ride the bus. Damn, it was what? $2.50, $2.75 to $3. Only a quarter, but shit, growing up, it was $1.50. So it's funny with this guy.
I mean, we're seeing in the Democratic Party polling that we're seeing some of the most left-leaning figures be the most popular figures across the country, and that is because they are certainly, diagnosing the issues that are facing many Americans in this country. But their solutions are very simplified, oversimplified, populist in nature, right? Freezing the rent, free childcare, free healthcare, things that we can all want. But talking about how we achieve that and what those second-order effects is the part that people aren't discussing, and it's very hard to put an opposing message.
People have to realize nothing is free in this world. Everything has a cost, right? If things are going to be free, your taxes is going to go up.
To populist messaging like that, because governing is much harder and not as simple as 3-word messages.
He's making the running at the moment.
Yes, he is.
Are you with him?
Am I with him?
Yeah.
We have been fighting against the mayor's policies on housing pretty much since before
On
he came
housing,
in. So,
but what about everything else?
my group focuses on rent-stabilized properties, which is really the biggest focus in this city, and I firmly believe all issues run downstream of housing. I think every single thing going on in this state right now runs downstream of housing.
Yeah, the problem is the rent just too high, bro. Like, I be watching these, what they call them, YouTube shorts, and it'd be, the vertical content, and it'd be rent tours, like 60-second, 2-minute rent tours, and you'll see something nice or maybe weird, something that could probably fit a queen-size bed, some weird bathroom, kitchen, living room really non-existent, $4,500 a month, $3,700 a month. And I'd be like, yo, this is in the hood. I grew up in this neighborhood. Where did these rents get? When I was growing up in Bed-Stuy, my mother's rent was $789, right? And then once the owner of the brownstone realized that people were selling their properties on the block, rent skyrocketed to about $1,400. The rent basically doubled, right? So $1,400 for a 3-bedroom, $1,300. That don't sound bad. I mean, $1,400. That don't sound bad, even for a 2-bedroom. But for the rent to just double, and no changes in the apartment, we still had the original finishes. They just painted over them, right? We still had like the original finishes. Like they even painted the them window sheds shut. Like it was so much paint over the window sheds that they were like permanently shut. Yeah, they just be overcharging for holes in the wall in New York City. And the funny thing is that people are actually paying them, paying the price, paying for those rents. Right? I did want to cover that Memphis story. That was the video that played earlier
A judge.
that I didn't mean to play. So let's get into that story. A woman is charged with murder for shooting a guy that she found under her 13-year-old daughter's bed. And no one's really talking about it. It hasn't gotten the recognition of the Nolan's Wells case or anything like that. But she's being charged with murder for finding this grown man in her daughter's bed, and her bond is $100,000. So here's the story on that.
Judge set a bond for the mother accused of shooting and killing a man she found hiding under her child's bed. 36-year-old Kendra Scott was scheduled to appear in court for a bond hearing today. Her lawyer told ABC 24 that after talking with prosecutors, both sides were able to agree on a $100,000 bond. According to the police report, Scott told officers when she got home around 1:30 Thursday morning, she saw a man under her child's bed. The child told police she invited.
Yo, I found a man hiding under my daughter's bed. Yeah, I'll probably be in the same predicament.
Invited the man into the home. As he was leaving, Scott shot him. Scott's attorney told us he believes under her child's bed. The child told police she invited the man into the home. As he was leaving, Scott shot him.
Children live in the home, doesn't own the home. So a child cannot invite a grown man into the house, and any sane grown man shouldn't accept an invitation into a home that a child is inviting you to. I thought that was common sense, but apparently it's not. And unfortunately, this young man, who happens to be 20 years old, lost his life because of it.
Scott's attorney told us he believes prosecutors will have a hard time proving Scott planned the shooting ahead of time, given the circumstances.
To expect anybody to be able to act in a cool, calm manner, premeditate any sort of action, is just unrealistic.
Scott's attorney says there is doorbell security video of the incident. He says that along with the autopsy, that will shed more light on this case. Scott is expected in court Friday.
So here's what I think what happened. Let me change the screen. Here's what I think what happened. She saw the dude under the bed, told him to get the hell from out of there. When she realized it was an adult, she ran to go get her gun. He ran out, and she ran to the door and pewed homie right in the back of the head. That's what I think what happened with that. That's what I think what happened with that right there. Because of course she didn't plan it. You don't plan to walk in your home and find a grown man hiding under your kid's bed. So let's get the story from another point of view. I believe this was ABC that we just saw. What we just saw was ABC. Let's get Fox 13 is what they're calling it. That's what it's called, Fox 13. Let's get Fox 13 point of view and see what information they had. This is a little bit longer video. That first video was only like 1 minute and 6 seconds. This one's 3 minutes and 15.
This is a case of what would you do? A mother came home.
Facts. What would you do? Grown man under your preteen daughter's bed. You don't know this man. What would you do?
Home and found a man hiding under her young teenage daughter's bed. So she shot and killed him. And now she's charged with first-degree murder. Good evening, everyone. I'm Darcy Thomas.
And I'm Lewis Bold. And Fox 13 is not naming the mother in this case because that could identify her daughter. Now, we have learned she had just arrived home from work on Travis Road in the Walker Homes community when police say she shot the man.
Fox 13's Troy Grant joins us live at a nearby police precinct. Troy, some people that you had a chance to talk with today.
That reporter looking hot and uncomfortable in that sun.
They say they believe that the mother was justified.
They did, and neighbors also said there were other younger children in the house at the time, some even as young as just 2 years old. Now, in that affidavit, the mother said she did what she
So there wasn't no other adult in the house.
had to do as a mom.
As your parent, you're protecting. And when a situation comes up like that, you just react.
And that's exactly what a mother told police she did when they responded to her house in the Walker Holmes community early Thursday morning. Police say they found Brodarius Morton laying near the woman's front porch dead with a gunshot wound. Now that mom is charged with first-degree murder. Even though parents Fox 13 spoke with said they'd probably have done the same thing.
If someone came into your home and they weren't supposed to be there and they was running out and the law has been changed, when you shoot, you don't know where the bullet gonna hit.
With support for this mother spreading across social media, Fox 13 wanted to learn more about your rights to protect your kids and why the mother was charged. Legal expert Andre Warden said
This reminds me of the child case of the kid that got shot in the back in South Carolina. It was one of the Carolinas. I think it was South Carolina or North Carolina. The father was able to prove that he was protected his son, and he ended up beating the case. I mean, he did spend time in jail because he had no bond, but he did end up beating the murder charge. So this is what this case reminds me of.
more to the story beyond a parent reacting, though it is possible the first-degree murder charge may not stick.
Now, here's the thing. If the mother alleges, hey, look, I was in a heat of passion, you've heard that phrase, then it may not be a first-degree murder case, but they have charged it as such.
There are a few factors.
Yeah, I think it's going to be hard to prove that it was like a first-degree murder. She's coming home from work and there's a man under her kid's bed. Like, yeah, the first thing, it's no time to think in that situation. You just have to react. You know, she might do some time in jail because I don't think she's going to be able to make bond. Actually, I was watching the Millionaire Morning Show and Anton actually called to try to bond her out, and it was a whole process. He actually couldn't do it, even though he had the money. It had to be someone in Memphis with proof of how they got the money, and then it was a whole other process. So even it's unfortunate that I don't think she's going to be able to get bond out. And where is the NAACP with this one? Because we need you on this one ASAP.
Laid out in the affidavit. First, the daughter allowed Morton in her house through the back door. When the mother came home, she knocked on her daughter's door asking, "Who's in my house?" The daughter also told police her mother has repeatedly threatened to shoot any boy she found in her home. Warden told me all of that would lead to the legal argument over whether this killing was premeditated.
Yes, it was. It was a 13-year-old and a 20-year-old. 13-year-old daughter invited the 20-year-old man into her house, and he was hiding under the bed when the man came, when the mom came home. Right? I mean, that's all. Yeah. Like, absolutely. I totally agree with you, Premium Honey. I'm so happy this happened. I'm so tired of predators ruining our children. Well, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't kill. I would have shot him in the back. I probably would have put him in a wheelchair. You know, not the head. I probably would have put him in a wheelchair. You know. And shout out to Mom, because Mom got good aim. For her to hit him in the head while he was running, she goes to the range.
And should be classified as first-degree murder.
Again, not quite the same fact pattern that I gave you before in terms of days before or weeks or months, years, where she says, look, if a guy's ever in here, I'm going to kill him. That really gives you a strong indication potentially of an argument, at least, strong argument for first-degree murder. But the closer in time, the more difficult that charge becomes.
Now that mother is still in jail tonight. We do not know who is caring for her kids at this time.
I don't like when they cut the audio short when the person was still in full sentence. I know they got a segment out there, reports and whatnot, but let him finish that statement, then cut it, because he was, while, you know, he, you know what I'm saying? He was, while they still had him up, like, let him, if you're gonna have him up, let him finish, then cut it. Like, you know, I don't know. It just, let us get the story. Let us get the actual story. What was that? People always say they would crash out behind their children, but she actually did it. Facts. That's what I'm saying. I mean, I don't even think the bond should be that high, right? But I guess because they charged her with murder, it's that high. I think yeah, I've been arrested enough to know that the bond is dependent on what accumulated by what the charges are. But it's only 10,000, and she unfortunately. We had a millionaire trying to bond her out. He did it live. He called live on stream, and it was just a whole rigorous process for him to try to send the 10,000 to get her out, and he wasn't able to do it.
And we're also following.
So here's another perspective of it. I think this must be a Memphis channel. It's a WREG News, Channel 3. So I think this is their local news. I'm not sure. I don't know. I've been to Memphis one time.
New developments in the case of a Memphis mother accused of shooting and killing a man she says she found hiding under her daughter's bed. In court this morning, Kendra Scott, who is charged with first-degree murder, had her bond set at $100,000 and was also ordered not to have contact with the victim's family. Memphis police say when they initially arrived to the scene last week, the victim, Rodarius Morton, was found dead near the home's porch after he had been shot in the back of the head. WREG's Shay Arthur is live tonight after speaking with a former teacher of Morton's and what she wants people to know about him. Shay?
Hey, Stephanie. Yeah, she says this case could have been handled so many other ways, not ending with a 20-year-old man being killed. Perkins says she's the former middle school teacher of Rodarius Morton, who Memphis police say was shot and killed early last Thursday morning in the Walker Homes neighborhood. She said Morton had learning disabilities.
He was special needs, and I was his special.
Now, when they say learning disabilities, was the man just slow, or was he just not well behaved? Right? Was he autistic? What type of learning disabilities did he have? What was the actual diagnostics that he had? Learning disabilities? Like what? What was it?
Special needs teacher.
She described him as soft-spoken and respectful, shocked by his death.
Unbelievable. Very, very hurt because the young man that I knew that most people don't know, based off of this story. They don't know him personally like I did.
In court paperwork, an underage girl told police Morton came to her house early Thursday morning through a back door. Her mother, Kendra Scott, then showed up banging on the door, yelling, "Who is at my house?" Scott says she went inside and found Morton hiding under the girl's bed. Police say as Morton was leaving the home unarmed, he was shot somewhere near the front porch. Detectives discovered he had a gunshot wound to the back of his head. The girl told police her mother has told her in the past if she discovered a boy in the home, he would be faced with violence. People look at this and they say, well, he should have been in that situation in the first.
Oh, so she met him before. Let me see if I heard that right.
He was shot somewhere near the front porch. Detectives discovered he had a gunshot wound to the back of his head. The girl told police her mother has told her in the past if she discovered a boy in the home, he would be faced with violence.
Ah. So I think at 13, the girl is 13. I think at 13 years old, if your mother say, if you bring a boy in here, it's going to be violence, and then you bring a boy here, what did you think was going to happen? Right? Your parents told you not to do something, and you did it anyway. Now she's in jail facing a murder charge when she gave you clear warning because you decided to invite some man, grown man, that your mother didn't know enter her home that she's paid for, and she was at work trying to put food on the table for you and your younger siblings. I know what everybody's going to say, because that's what I thought the same thing when I found out it was more children in the house. Where's the father? All right, where's the babysitter? Where's the adult cousin, niece, aunt, somebody? Right? Community is important when it comes to raising children.
People look at this and they say, well, he should have been in that situation in the first place.
And I agree. I do agree. I do not condone his actions as going and mingling with a 13-year-old. However, when you're cognitively not 20, what do you expect? And then I found out last night that from his sister, no one knew that he was gone away from the house.
Perkins believes Morton thought the girl was older and didn't understand the law.
I just wish she wouldn't have never shot him.
What movie was that? I think it was The Man of Steel. He said, ignorance is not the same as innocence. And that's true in this. He thought she was older. Even if he was still alive, he still would have been going to jail. She had her own private episode of How to Catch a Predator in her own house.
That's it. There were so many opportunities for her to stop and think. So many different ways that this could have had a different outcome. So many different ways. Call the police. If you got a gun, hold them there to gunpoint till the police gets there.
Yeah, and Stephanie, Scott is due back here in court next month. For your news leader, we're live downtown tonight. Shay Arthur, WREG News.
I don't know, man. She said hold them there at gunpoint till the police come. Then the police end up shooting her because she got a gun in her hand. I don't know. Involving police sometimes is just a sticky situation. You know what I mean? Because sometimes they can complicate things. They can also be unfair for their lives. We don't, us colored folks, we don't want to deal with police too much, man. For real, man. But thanks for tuning in. Make sure you're liking the video and subscribe to the channel. My road to monetization is almost complete. It's gonna be cool. What was I saying? Where we left off at? Damn, I just went blank. I need some more omega-3s. I be going blank sometimes. Let me interact with the chat. You see? He didn't have any problems learning how to talk. Look out here. Yeah. They like to, I don't know, people like to use mental health as a crutch for situations like this. But people be knowing exactly what they be doing. The thing is, he thought he was slick, but he ain't know mom was slicker and she had good aim. Right? She had good aim. Right? What's up, Red? That's right. What's this? McLarge meals. That's a funny name. Ignorance is not an excuse. Ignorance is not an excuse at all. At all. Thank you for the support, Red. I appreciate that. I'll see you on Monday. Is it Monday? Yeah, it's Monday and Wednesday. I'll see you. Y'all make sure y'all tune in to Red Lipstick Vibes as well. She's a great content creator. She be having she got all the bells and whistles over there on her platform. It's pretty dope. But I wanna pivot into oh, please don't start this.
Do you think Democrats?
All right, thank you. I want to pivot over into what's my man name? Van Jones, and where he thinks the Democratic Party is going these days. Man, people don't understand. Espionage still exists. And the American people has been tired of losing this war with the government and being trampled on by its own government, that is willing to accept anything that sounds different. But I think the democratic socialists, as they like to say, are establishing strongholds all over the countries, and we need to be aware of that, right? Not too long ago, I believe it was maybe only around 30 is too soon because of the millennium. About 40 years ago, we wasn't really rocking with the whole socialist aspect, even though we already had socialist policies integrated into our system, like hospitals, ambulance, police, fire. Those are all socialist type of programs. Anything that your city funds for you is a socialist type of thing. That's why you pay taxes, right? But here's what Van Jones think the Democrat Party is headed.
What do you think Democrats not in
I'll
New
be
York
right
City
back.
should be learning from this?
Well, first of all, New York City matters because the two most exciting left-wing candidates are here, AOC and Mamdani, but also this is the stronghold for the establishment, Schumer and Hakeem Jeffrey. This is a battle between the establishment and this insurgency, and the roof is collapsing on the Democratic Party establishment tonight. If Mamdani gets a hat trick, 3 out of 3, this is a new era for the Democratic Party, and you can't write off New York City because this is the place where both, it's the power center for the establishment and the insurgency, and they're going head to head tonight. And right now, this is no longer a movement. This is a movement and a machine at the same time. There's just no way to sugarcoat this. If Mamdani pulls off a hat trick, it is a new era in Democratic Party politics.
Well, and if you're a moderate Democrat.
Hold on. Let me read off this comment real quick. It's pretty interesting. You say? Dessa, what's Dessa trying to replace the USA? Okay, hold on. The gold is world domination. Islam isn't a religion. It's an agenda under the cloak of religion. The Islamists are trying to steal the Democratic Party. They should have started they're trying to steal the Democratic Party. I believe you on that. They already got their popular term that they are, right? They're democratic socialists, right? They could have just started a whole new party, the Socialist Party. But they wouldn't have won that way. You know why? Because the Democratic already have a voter base, right? Let's paint the red guy, right? So let's paint him in a bad light so much and consistently, too, for the past 10 years, right? That people are going to go for anything blue. Anything labeled as a progressive. Anything labeled Democrat. They're just going to do it. Because bump Trump, right? And I think they're on the verge of losing their party. And I think, what's his name? Hakeem Jeffries. I think this is the first time the person he endorsed actually lost to the person Mamdani endorsed. Right? And I'm going to tell you this, man. I'm going to tell you this, McLarge. Mamdani, I seen him in person at the Puerto Rican Day Parade. I'm telling you, bro. This guy has a talent. The man can speak well. And he's, pause, he's charming. Right? He's so charming. Like, I already peeped game that he don't answer direct questions and whatnot. But the man speaks and his mannerisms, he'll talk to you with his mannerisms and have you listening, and you won't notice he didn't answer the question until he's walking away or your window to speak is over, right? Because you're too busy processing all the words that he said whole time. He didn't need to answer the question. But as far as Islam, I knew it was going to be some funny stuff going on, because even when he was inaugurated, it was in an abandoned station, City Hall station that's under City Hall, and he did it on the Quran. So I don't even think his inauguration is valid, because here in America, no matter what, even the people in Islam, when they go to court, They have to put their hand on the Bible, right? But that's a topic for another situation. That's a topic for another show or whatnot. You know, not really into the religious stuff like that. But let me see what you say here. Right? Let's see. Put whites and blacks against each other, steal the country from them. Exactly. That's why stories like the story with this mom just now is not getting national news, right? But Nolan Wells' story is getting national news because they love this race war. This race war, it's this theory that America is overdue for a civil war, another civil war, right? And that's what they want. They want the men fighting the women, and they want the whites fighting the blacks, while the whole time the Indians, the Jews, and every other immigrant apparently is getting shit done. Right? Everybody that comes here is getting shit done. The Asians got their anti-hate crime against Asians. The Jewish got their anti-Semitism. You could lose your banking, everything, like your banking, your career. Look what they did to Kyrie Irving. Look what they did to Kanye. Kanye was wilding though, but he's a genius. Kanye was wilding. Kanye was wilding. But it's like, what are they going to do for us, the FBAs, right? Now they got this thing where defunding the police is the cool thing to say. So who's gonna come when there's a stranger under my kid's bed if there's no police, right? So back to what you said, McLarge, she was right for actually acting and crashing out for her child, bro. That's a fact. That's a fact. What you say? What you humming about? He dodges questions. Yeah. And he does it. He it's like when Allen Iverson crossed over Jordan. It's so smooth. It's like, yo, I didn't even know I was done. I spun around. I'm like, damn, homie didn't even answer the question. It's all good. That just means I got to be on point. Right? Never trust a Muslim under any circumstances. Ha! You know, I got a story, but I'm not going to say that story. Word salad maker. Yes. And he's efficient at it. We're talking Olive Garden levels with the word salad. Olive Garden levels with the word salad. For real. Let me see. Right, race war creates civil war. Exactly. We got to be fighting on each other while the whole time California is passing all these strange bills and Congress members is getting richer. Thank God they just stopped them from I'm gonna call it what it is, inside trading. Thank God they just stopped them from that. But here, let's get back to Van Jones and see what he's saying about the Democratic Party, because I almost got derailed right there. But thanks for tuning in. Make sure y'all like and share, subscribe to the video. If you're on the vertical, come over to the horizontal. It's a better experience over there. I just like how it's set up over there. I only do vertical so I can reach more people. But come over to the horizontal side. You'll enjoy that better.
Brad, who's on the election, who's on the ballot this November, Van. I mean, they're all going to get asked about the positions that we're hearing from these other fellow Democrats.
Well, look, I think, from our frontline Democrats will be able to make their case for themselves. I think they'll be able to do okay. We got a lot of national security Democrats in other parts of the country. But this is a big deal tonight. And I think that, look, I don't know what you want me to say here. This is a straight up battle between the establishment and the insurgency, and the establishment is getting its butt kicked tonight in New York City.
CNN has a projection. I'm going to go straight to John King over at the Maverick Watch.
And that projection, Abby, means that the mayor, Mamdani, does get a sweep of the three races in which he endorsed the Democratic primaries tonight. The Democratic Socialist candidate, Dani Avila Chevalier, beating a powerful Democratic, long-standing Democratic incumbent, Adriano Espaillat. Much more narrow race than the other two districts here, but this is, again, this is a mayor making a statement. This is a candidate making a statement. You're having the conversation with your panel about we want new, we want different, and yes, we want more liberal. In this particular case, Espaillat is certainly a Democrat and a progressive, but this is part of the generational divide. We've also seen the Democratic Party. We want new, we want younger, but there's one for the mayor. There's 2 for the mayor, and there's 3 tonight. So the conversation is going to be, Abby, number 1, how much power does Zohran Mamdani have in New York City politics? Number 2, he's also making some enemies tonight, let's be honest. He's been mayor 6 months, and he's gone against 2 Democratic incumbents and the wishes of the retiring Democratic incumbent in the 3rd district there. But he's making a statement for the city, for the state, and he's also making a statement of where he thinks the Democratic Party should go nationally, both for the next 5 months.
Oh, Hollywood, that's you. What up? You got it. I got you. I wanted you to pull up, but we'll talk about that later. Yeah, no doubt. Is it? I'm glad it's working. So it's working. That's good. Yo, your videos is funny. That's why I'm laughing. That's why I'm putting the LOL emoji on the bottom of them.
And into 2028. So as you're discussing with your panel, can you export this? Can you sell what he wants to do in New York City, where his candidates clearly are winning tonight, where he won clearly, convincingly? Can you sell it? Well, he wants to be part of that debate, and tonight he's proving he gets.
Hold on. What? Who from the high is running? Who from the high is running? I would like to know. Was it the student body president who's running? What was his name? The tall basketball player with the bald head, big old head. Is it him? Who's running from the high? Gregory. I'm about to check my yearbook. I'm about to check my yearbook. Nah, it's not him. Gregory? All right, I'm about to check my yearbook and see. Was he 05 class? Like, what happened with him? All right, bet. Send him his page. If I like what he's talking about, I'm endorse him. For real. Yeah, 05 class. All right, Gregory. All right, bet. DM me his name so I can see who it is, and then also send me the page on the DM. Yo, oh yeah, sidebar. What I was gonna say, Abby is the most biased woman, not even woman, the most biased person on CNN right now, bro. The whole network is biased, but Abby could be dead wrong, and there's mad videos of her since 2020 contradicting herself. Election fraud wasn't happening. Now it's just a fraction of election fraud. Which is it? Was it happening or was it not? Because when the president said it was happening, you called him crazy. Now that it's happening, you're saying it's a little bit, right? This thing can snowball. That's why we need voter ID. It's not Jim Crow. We need voter ID for shit like we can stop shit like this, and we won't have another California situation where 3 weeks after the election, the loser on election day mysteriously won. But back to the video. I'm getting heated.
A big role in it.
You know, this is a really important conversation because Zohran Mamdani, thank you, John King. Zohran Mamdani he took a big swing, right, as we were just discussing. And you don't take those kinds of swings unless you think you can win, and he did. And this last race that we just called, just 1 second, because I think this is super important. DaJeaniusCEO Avila Chevalier is one of the more controversial candidates. CNN earlier in the year reported that she had deleted previous Twitter posts expressing views for abolishing police, prisons, borders, seizing private property, nationalizing major industries, calling into question Israel's right to exist. She spoke to a friend of the show, Ested Herndon, in a recent interview, said that all deportations are immoral. So all of that being said, there she is defeating a Democratic incumbent, a powerful member of the Hispanic caucus, who's been there. The chairman. He's been there for a really long time. I mean, you could say that all of this is just controversial. She's a bad candidate, but she's likely to just be the congressperson. And does it not suggest, though, that the voters looked at that and they were like, we don't really care about that. We care about all these other things?
I think that's the problem for the greater Democratic Party in this district, or in these 3 districts. You have the ones who are the furthest to the left, who under no uncertain terms support open borders, do not support.
She looked nice today. She usually look crazy, but she looks nice today. The blonde is actually working today.
For any deportation, and even in that podcast interview, I mean, she was given a follow-up of even if it's a murderer, even if it's a rapist, no, they shouldn't be deported. Republicans are.
You hear how crazy that sound? Even if it's a rapist or a murderer, they shouldn't be deported. Why? Why not? Why not send them back from where they came? What's with that? That's weird, bro. Extremely weird.
Are very obviously going to take advantage of this, and it's going to hurt the Democrats nationwide. You could win in New York, you can win in Seattle, you can win in Portland and Los Angeles, but that's where you're going to win. And if we're able to define the Democrats who have tried to run away from this label of being socialist, being open borders, being, pro-crime or anti-Israel,
they can't run away from the open borders because they let so many people in over the past 6 years. They let so many people in. That's why ICE is running rampant right now.
If that's the goal of the Democratic Party, to run from that, you're not going to be able to do that
But you forget
anymore.
one important thing. People are broke. That's the other part you forget, is that the affordability crisis in this country, I think, is a major win for a lot of Democrats. It's like
They always talk about affordability. Look at the lady who just won in Virginia. First thing she did was create, I think, 50 new taxes. And she went after the firearms. That's one thing we don't need them to do. We don't need them to take away our legal firearms. How are you complaining about affordability but raising taxes? Make that make sense. Anybody got sense for that? Like, I want to save you money, right? But I'm going to raise your taxes. How 50 Cent said, sometimes a gangster don't always show up with a gun or a knife. It's the pen. The pen. They'll pull up in a suit and rob you with a pen. That's what the Democratic Party been doing.
again, all those little scary terms y'all like to use to try to throw people off and say
she's open borders, right?
And I'm not saying that I agree with that.
That isn't.
Yes,
that is
but
what
there's
she
extreme
believes.
MAGA candidates too that run on way worse things.
Do you
than
call
this.
them out as well? And
It's nothing about MAGA being talked about here. We're talking about the Democratic Party and the Democratic Socialists. Why do you have to bring up MAGA? Why do you have to do that? There's no need for that. We're talking about the civil war within the Democratic Party. It's nothing to do with the Republicans here or MAGA.
Absolutely.
use
We do,
them
and
as
guess what? They still
Democrats
get
for that
elected. You
point.
know why? Because there is core things that still resonate with people, and all the scary terms aren't going to get them off of that.
In
At the end
far
of the
left-
day, if people are broke, they do
in
not
far
care.
left districts where Republicans aren't running, like Republicans don't lose anything tonight in these districts, but they are going to be dealing with some of these far left candidates in, say, Maine. I mean, to come up for Congressman Golden's position, you guys put someone very far to the left, and that's now going to go into.
Yes, Holly. They did see black people waking up. Black people started waking up after that first Trump administration in between 2016 and 2020. We had more money in our pockets. We started learning the stock market, right? And then soon as Biden went in, like, yeah, the COVID happened, right? But soon as Biden went in, everything just skyrocketed, bro. I was paying $20, $22 for a big can of Lysol, right? My Uber deliveries done doubled in cost, right? No, it's not even new blacks though, Holly. It's new people of color. That's an offensive term. People of color. White people are pink and green. So they will fall under people of color too, right? That's the problem. When someone say person of color, that's very offensive to me. Very offensive.
the Republican camp. We're going to pick that seat up. When you're going
I don't
into
think
moderate,
you will, my friend. I
we
think
will.
that's the
Well,
thing.
we
You
will.
guys keep putting out all these scary terms. No, we've heard all this anti-Semitism and
They're
we are evil
anti-Semites.
and we're
If you do
open
not
borders.
believe in
But
Israel's
listen,
right
there's-
to exist, that means you're an
that's not-
anti-Semite.
That's one candidate that you're talking about
There's
in the
three
entire
candidates.
country. No, listen,
that is the
you
part
cannot
of the
make it about a
Democratic
scary terms.
Socialist Party.
There
It's
are
not a scary
people
term.
struggling in this country, and we need representatives that don't just represent the
Could you
donors
find
and the
one?
lobby groups and the billionaires. Mamdani is showing us that you can deliver. It is possible
you
to
find
run
any
and
who
keep your
don't
promises. I would
hold
love to talk
anti-Semitic
without you
views?
talking over me the entire time.
Yeah, that's how it's
And he's also out there saying that he's going to align himself with the folks that do not believe in Israel's right to exist. That is a problem.
But if you want to throw
It's an
that,
anti-Semitic
if you want to throw that lob, I'd say find me an extreme MAGA politician that's not bigoted. I would say the same thing.
What about what Jamel is saying? I mean, isn't the story of the last 10 years of politics, especially in this Trump era, that there are, even in the Republican tent, plenty of people to the far right that have been welcomed into the tent. And maybe they're toxic, maybe they're controversial, but they still get elected in their ruby red districts. It just seems like a parallel thing is starting to happen on the Democratic side. And part of what's happening is that Democrats are actually learning from what Republicans did.
I don't think
over
they're
the
learning.
last 10
I don't really
years.
think they are learning. I mean, I think if you look back, this happened to us. In 2010 and 2012, you can look at candidates like Sharon Angle and Richard Murdoch and Todd Akin. We left a lot of Senate seats and House seats on the table because we did things that made the most radical people in our party happy. And you guys are celebrating, oh, we're taking our party back. We're finally sending a message. It's a message that swing voters are going to be scared of. Congresswoman Chevalier, Congresswoman-elect Chevalier, I'd like to invite her to come campaign in any of the districts where I'm working with candidates this year. She would be welcome. We might pay her travel expenses. I would like her to be an ambassador of the Democratic Party.
But she's not an ambassador of the Democratic
Sure
Party.
she is. She
Of
just,
course she
just
is.
won tonight. You just said that.
No,
she's not.
But I'm sorry, but
No,
aren't you
she's
celebrating the unity that she's bringing to the base of the Democratic Party? You're saying that she's energizing everyone.
No,
and we're going to point that out.
I think we started
she is
this by
energizing
talking. I
the
think
base
we
of the
started
extremists
this
in your
by
party.
saying her race was the closest, that Mamdani was the thing that we were celebrating, and Mamdani is showing that
Who
politicians can.
handpicked extremists.
Again, I'm speaking, and you keep talking over me.
Yo. Like she didn't do that to him. It's all right. Let's continue.
I would love to
It's a
finish your
debate
point.
show.
Okay, hold on a second. Just finish your point, and then you can respond.
My point is, we were talking about Mamdani. Mamdani, in 6 months, has shown what the Democrats have not been able to show in years. That you can say you're going to.
That's a true statement. That is a very true statement.
To get something done, and then you can get it done. That you can look out for the people and you can actually deliver for them. That if you don't answer to the billionaire class, and you don't answer to a lobby group, and you don't answer to your donors, then you can actually keep looking out for the people. And that's why when we're talking about John saying, you know, is this Mamdani's idea? This is what a lot of us in the country want. We want politicians that answer to us, that look out for us, that represent us.
How big?
That was a fair statement. I don't see nothing wrong in what she said, right? You do want technically they do work for you. They are public servants, right? But when you're talking about an affordability issue in New York City and then giving yourself an 18% raise, 18%? Bro. Mamdani is about to make more than the vice president of the United States. Mamdani got a mansion right now since he's the mayor. I think it's called Gracie's. Yeah, Gracie's mansion. What do you need? Why did you need an 18% raise? Talking about cost of life expenses, right? You don't got to worry about that. You're about to open up 5 free grocery stores. Why don't you go get your groceries from the grocery stores? The $30 million grocery stores that you're putting in Harlem and one in each borough he said one in each borough. So the one in Manhattan where the mansion is in Harlem. Hop on the West Side Highway, go shop at your $30 million grocery store where you can get your groceries for free. What life expenses you talking about? You already got a Suburban with a siren on it. What life expenses you talking about? That $130,000 couldn't cover in New York City. You're well above the poverty line. The poverty line in New York City is $140,000. Why do you need 300?
Of a shockwave was this, to see all of the people that Mamdani endorsed win?
I mean, truly, as Politico put it, there is a new king of New York when it comes to endorsements. I mean, just up and down the ballot, from congressional races on down. If you're Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer, you're really taking a tough look at this, because truly, New Yorkers sent a message last night, and with affordability at top of minds of Democrats, this has got to rattle them going forward.
Yeah, affordability was the word, right, that everyone was kind of looking at and using. Francesca, I do wonder if this is a New York anomaly, or do you see Zohran Mamdani's version of democracy as a harbinger of things to come in potentially other places, other states, other cities?
There's a more nuanced look if you go across the country. I mean, you have a state like Iowa where Josh Turek won, and he had a large establishment support. Even in looking in New York itself, you have the race where Michael Lasher won and had been an aide to Gerald Nadler and had his support. And so, yes, certainly a progressive wave going on in New York and in other parts of the country for sure. But as Democrats are trying to figure out what kind of message works for them, they're finding that in different states, particularly in red states, in some of these purple states, that the message that might work for voters is going to be different than the one that works in a place like New York that's very blue. And they're having to figure out how to thread that needle as they start to look for a candidate who can try and bring all these different parts of the party together in 2028. But as far as this idea of Hakeem Jeffries and Schumer, I did want to pick up on what Jackie was saying and say, if you're waking up this morning and you're Chuck Schumer and you're looking at that, or you're Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who's trying to figure out what she's going to do in her future, the progressive wave that we've seen last night leans, of course, in the direction of an AOC.
Yeah, Jackie, as Francesca has sort of alluded to, as Republicans watch Democrats wrestle with their own ideological divisions, how might this be used in the midterms in other places?
That's the question. I think some of the members who won in New York will be used as the new boogeyman, as the Republicans tried to do with Mayor Mamdani. Now, whether or not that works, I think it depends on where you are. I mean, good luck trying to do that in a place like Texas, for example. But it might work somewhere like Maine, where they have a very progressive candidate running or around the margins. Somewhere like Maine, where you do have a candidate that is very progressive in Graham Plattner. So as Francesca pointed out, this isn't a one size fits all, but I think as much as we talk about problems that Republicans have, Democrats clearly have some of their own internally. And the other really interesting thing that we're going to see moving forward, potentially into next year, about Hakeem Jeffries is how he governs this kind of caucus that's moving he's going to have a very strong vocal left wing, potentially, if they end up taking the majority or if they don't.
And the Democrats have no one to blame for this division within the party but themselves. They okayed a lot of, let me full screen this. They have okayed a lot of, I guess, progressive policies that they allowed a parasite to infiltrate and take over. It's almost like a political virus that they have within the party right now. And the legacy Democrats got no one to blame but themselves, right? They got too busy chasing the algorithm and trying to do what social media was pushing them to do. I never seen anything like it. I never seen anything like it before.
Change the subject.
America's going to be
New York City.
America's going to be a really interesting place in the next
You might have seen a map of New York City's
2 years. But I want to pivot to the New York City gangs, right? I came across this video a couple days ago. I saved it to the playlist. It's a 24-minute video. This is going to be the last video, so this is going to be a long one. And we're going to break down and talk about it during the video while I play the video. But, like, it's real interesting how he was able to actually literally map out the gang territories in New York City. Growing up, it was just Crips and Bloods, but apparently it's subsets and all this going on. The way he did it was very, very masterful, and I want y'all to review that with me. So here it is.
Subway lines are 5 boroughs, but you've probably never seen a map of New York City's gang war. This isn't the Bloods versus Crips or Gangster Disciples versus Black Disciples. New York City's gang war plays by a completely different set of rules. Take Brooklyn, for example. In Brownsville, the neighborhood with the highest concentration of public housing projects in the
Growing up, we knew don't go to Brownsville because you might get robbed.
country, rival gangs are packed into an area known as the 1 Square Mile War. Here, 2 massive overarching alliances, the Wu and Chu, are locked in a brutal war against each other. But the chaos doesn't stop there. Beneath those umbrellas are dozens of smaller sets and internal wars, all fighting over the same blocks. Meanwhile, in Queens, entire neighborhoods like Shadyville have been controlled by gangs made up of teenagers, some as young as 14, carrying out shootings in broad daylight. And in the Bronx, the war has become even more public, where drill rappers, Instagram lives, diss tracks, and federal indictments all feed into the same cycle of violence. From street crews in Brooklyn and the Bronx, to Dominican gangs in Washington Heights, Chinese street gangs in Chinatown, and even the 5 Italian mafia families still embedded across the city, our team spent hours mapping every gang down to the exact streets that they control. This is the New York City gang war mapped.
Shout out to his production team.
To understand one of the biggest rivalries in this war, we need to zoom into the 1 Square Mile War centered in the Brownsville neighborhood. As mentioned in the intro, Brownsville has the highest concentration of public housing projects in the country, and most of the gangs are based out of these projects. Most of the sets in this region are either under the Wu Alliance or the Chu Alliance. But these aren't single unified gangs with one leader calling every shot. The Chu's main sets are based in the Howard Houses, Tilden Houses, Marcus Garvey Village, the Riverdale Towers, and Newport Gardens, while the Wu main sets are based in the Seth Low Houses, Van Dyke Houses, Langston Hughes Houses, the Brownsville Houses, and the Noble Drew Ali Plaza.
They right across the street from each other. God damn. That neighborhood must not know peace.
Chu members living in the Marcus Garvey Village and Tilden Houses means that by crossing one street, Dumont Avenue, they're entering into enemy territory. On April 22nd, 2023, Chu member Brian Ramos and 2 other of his gang brothers walked into the Van Dyke housing projects. They approached a playground where children were playing and then spotted some of their rival Wus across the park. They opened fire, unleashing multiple rounds, and then fled the scene. Thankfully, nobody was injured, but the message was clear. Even a children's playground in broad daylight could become part of the gang war. And then on August 1st, 2023, Wu member Deshaun Nimmons was walking with a group of his friends when they spotted a Chu member named Jeffrey Thomas inside a barbershop getting a haircut. This barbershop is called Champion Cuts and is in Wu territory at 557 Chester Street. Wu member Nimmons pulled a mask over his face, pulled out a gun, and fired into the barbershop, hoping to hit Jeffrey Thomas. Seconds later, Jeffrey emerged from the barbershop unhit and then returned fire at the group. No Wu members were hit, but a 69-year-old innocent bystander was struck in the torso as he was taking out the trash.
Damn. Baby, take out the trash. All right, he go to take out the trash in the front yard and get shot. Stray bullet.
This shows the violence extends outside just the housing projects, where innocent bystanders are often caught in the crossfire. This Wu versus Chu rivalry features some of the biggest names in rap, too. Pop Smoke and Bobby Shmurda were both part of sets in the Wu Alliance, where Pop Smoke even titled one of his albums, Meet the Wu. Although in interviews, Pop Smoke would be sure to show that he's a loyal 092 gang member, a smaller set within the Wu Alliance.
I'm gonna ask you a question. I'm saying it ain't really hot or nothing like that, but yo, so like when niggas be saying woo, they talking about y'all niggas.
They talk about the whole flow. Let me tell you something. I'm on our too. All that woo shit, listen, I'm on our too. You heard, like,
on our fucking
from the floors, you feel me? You know, owners right now, like, you know, owners.
The owners?
While Pop Smoke was tragically killed in California, Bobby Shmurda's rise was cut short when he was sentenced to 7 years in prison. He was sentenced to prison for his role in GS9, a Brooklyn street gang connected to the larger Wu Alliance. In addition to Bobby's GS9 set, most of these housing complexes represent a different set of the Wus and Chus. For example, in the Van Dyke projects, the set of the Wu Alliance here are the Brothers Over Everything, or BOE gang. And then just across the Mother Gaston Boulevard in the Brownsville and Langston Hughes houses are the Only My Brothers, or OMB gang. As for the Chu Alliance in the region, the people in the Tilden houses are known as Jew, or Just on Her Own gang. The Chus in the Marcus Garvey village go by Hood Stars, and the Chus in the Riverdale homes go by Newport. With all these different sets and projects in the 1 square mile war, even Wu and Chu alliances fall apart where different sets will turn on each other. Very recently, on April 15th, 2026, 36 Wu and Chu members were arrested in a 188-count indictment that connects them to dozens of shootings across Brownsville. You can see how young these gang members are, where all 36 arrested were between the ages of 16 to 27 years old. But the Wus and Chus aren't the only ones running the streets of Brooklyn. South Brooklyn has its own gang war going on. Down near Sheepshead Bay, Brighton Beach, Coney Island, and Gravesend.
Sheepshead Bay always stank to me. It smells bad over there. I don't know what's going on over there. Brighton Beach got gangs too?
And some of the most dominant gangs are tied to the 59 Brims and Bloodhound Brims. These gangs are more spread out than the 1 square mile war, but have also recently found themselves in a massive indictment.
These are just some of the alleged members of the 59 Brims Bloodhound Brims gang. 14 of them, including a 15-year-old, were charged with a 129-count indictment on murder and weapons possession for violent crimes committed throughout the Sheepshead Bay and Coney Island neighborhoods in 2021 and 2022.
After a failed attempt to target a rival, leaked text messages show that one member was frustrated when nobody was killed.
Yo, if you committing crimes, right, we don't support that type of lifestyle over here, but like if you committing crimes, don't text, man. What are you on the text message for? It's all, you just laying it out.
A 59 Brims member, Antone, was asking about how it was a bad drill, and the others responded because nobody was hit. Other members were seen saying things like, "Somebody's supposed to be in critical condition, gangsta. It was 4 of y'all, and we just gotta hit our targets. That's it. That's all."
He read that wrong. Let's go back. He read that wrong. Somebody's supposed to be critical. Somebody's supposed to be in critical condition. Gangsta. It was 4 of y'all.
Mission gangsta, it was 4 of y'all, and we just gotta hit our targets. That's it. That's all, baby. But Brooklyn is only one borough. Once you move north and east into Queens, the gang war starts to look much different. In Queens, most of the violence spreads across Jamaica, South Jamaica, and Queens.
I was in Jamaica in 2024. Jamaica is wild. Yo, it was always something going down over there by the train station. Looking at this map, it's looking like it's by the train station too. Jamaica, Queens is a wild spot. That's the wild east over there.
Queens Village, where teenagers have turned ordinary neighborhoods into a battleground. And speaking of a battleground, I feel like trying to manage a small business today is a battle in itself. Even for me trying to manage the platform sale, being real, you only actually need, but it gives me value towards that life. With months, you get access to try it out. One of the most important areas of the Queens gang war takes place in a section of Queens Village known as Shadyville. Shadyville became the home base for the Badco Ballout Gang. This is a larger alliance made up mainly of 55 neighborhood Crips and self-made Mac Ballas. The leader of the
Mac Ballers, not Mock. Mac Ballers.
Badco gang is a 21-year-old named Javon Adapoko. On the streets, though, he goes by Shady and is the leader of Shadyville. Shady would distribute loaded firearms out of his Queens Village home and would supply these to younger gang members, often just 14 or 15 years old. He would give these young teenagers permission to go after their rivals in the area. And this is actually a common practice across Queens.
And they say the gang leader of the A-Train moving Crips was actually a 33-year-old man who started training teens as young as 14, training them how to pull the trigger and who to shoot.
One of these young gang members, named Sean Chang, was nicknamed Broad Day for his success in carrying out shootings in broad daylight. But even Shady wasn't afraid to carry out the hits himself. In November 2022, class had just been dismissed at North Queens Community High School. 18-year-old Mark Green was waiting for the bus outside the school on Main Street and 77th Avenue. Shady and another Badco gang member traveled from Queens Village into rival territory looking for Mark Green. To the Badco gang, this wasn't just about going after another rival. It was a message that even outside of Shadyville and even outside of a school in broad daylight, their rivals weren't safe. As students were leaving for the day, Shady and other gang members opened fire. Students who had just walked out of class ran back into the school as shots rang out on the street. When EMS arrived, Mark Green was found face down on the pavement. He was taken to fortunately didn't survive. But the fact that this happened outside of the North Queens Community High School made the situation even darker. North Queens isn't a normal high school. It's a transfer school designed for students who are already behind or already struggling. The school's graduation rate is just 54%. So for many of the teenagers walking out of the building, school was supposed to be the thing that kept them away from the violence. But that afternoon, violence followed them right to the front door.
Yo, listen, man. And y'all talking about defunding the police? Y'all really want to defund the police? Who gonna come when it's when they shooting outside? Y'all want to defund the police? Y'all see this? So defunding the police makes sense? When schools is getting shot up in New York City? Y'all still gonna be voting blue? Talking about defund the police?
But Queens is still mostly a block-by-block war shaped by smaller crews and neighborhood beef. In the Bronx, the gang violence is much more coordinated, more public, and far more famous. The major gangs in the Bronx are the YGs, the DOA gang, the OGs, the Slattery gang, and the OYs, which are mostly based in Manhattan, but are still very much relevant to the Bronx gang war for a reason we'll dive into. Similar to Brooklyn, these gangs control much of the public housing complexes across the Bronx. If we start out with the YGs, this gang controls Mott Haven, Patterson, and the River Park Towers to the north. In the south, around Mott Haven and Patterson, much of the YG's beef is with the OG's gang nearby. The OGs are primarily located in the Melrose and Jackson housing projects. They often go by Cortlandt over everything for having significant control over Cortlandt Avenue. Much of the violence along Cortlandt Avenue today stems back from one night on April 16th, 2012. A large group of YGs were all drinking together in a bar. At a certain point, a debate broke out over which member puts in the most work for the gang. Nobody could agree who's the toughest member of the gang, so they decided to head into rival territory and find some ops or rivals. The YGs walked into the OG's territory in the Melrose houses. When the YGs got there, they spotted a 16-year-old OG's member, Noah Bala. The group of 20 YGs attacked the 16-year-old and began stomping on him until he was unconscious. Sadly, Noah was stomped to death that night.
I'm sure it's pronounced Noah Baller, not Bala, Baller.
Right outside his own building. There wasn't a single gang member in the Bronx who didn't hear about Noah's death. After this brutal attack, the YGs suddenly had enemies all across the Bronx. One of their biggest rivals became DOA, a name that stands for Dead on Arrival, or also sometimes stands for Dumping on Anything. The feud between DOA and the YGs had already been building, but it exploded after the death of Tanky Bala. Tanky was connected to Third Side, one of the groups under the larger DOA umbrella. According to reports, he was out looking for rivals when he crossed paths with members of 800 YGs, a specific YG set. During that encounter, Tanky was shot and killed. And because he was one of the most well-known people connected to DOA, his death turned an already tense rivalry into a much larger war. A few years later in 2021, famous drill rapper K-Flock got in a heated public Instagram live argument with another drill rapper, Raw G's. K-Flock belonged to DOA, and Raw G's was part of the YGs.
You never did nothing to me. You never even, bro, this was my first time. Bro, you're a cat. You never did nothing to me, though. Really, though. Really never did nothing to me. I really did since a day.
These niggas get on FaceTime, Instagram Live, and all that, and be arguing and showing guns and whatnot.
You know, what do I love that?
K-Flock became notorious for going on Instagram Live in rival gangs' territories.
Hey, what's up?
They don't want to come out. Look how comfortable I am on the block. Them niggas all in there. Them niggas is pussy.
K-Flock would film himself driving around in YG's territory to show how comfortable and confident he was. But the crazy part is, nothing would ever happen to him. Raw G saw this and then challenged K-Flock to come back.
Somebody tag K-Flock. Somebody tag K-Flock. Niggas not playing him, come right back. Outside right now as we speak. You coming through hard and on live, blocking niggas off your lives, so niggas can't see your shit. Like, what's up? Pop out. We outside here. Yo, K-Flock, pop out. Pop out right now. Right now as we speak. You wanna make shows, you wanna make shows too. Pop out.
K-Flock would then go back on Instagram Live the next day and threaten his rivals even more.
How you EBK? Cause anybody could get shot. What the fuck you talking about? You dumb or something? You ain't safe. You ain't good. You ain't good, I ain't gonna lie. You're not good.
K-Flock began rapping in May of 2020. He quickly gained traction in the Bronx drill scene by releasing popular songs like Op Spotter and Brotherly Love before dropping his debut mixtape in 2021, the DOA tape. K-Flock became one of the most popular rappers the Bronx had ever seen, but unfortunately, his rise to fame wouldn't last much longer. On December 16th, 2021, K-Flock was walking down West 151st Street in Harlem with his sister and a friend. They spotted one of their rival ops in a barbershop. The op in this barbershop was an original youngin' or OY gang member named Oscar Hernandez. This section of Harlem that the barbershop was in OY territory and is more widely known as Sugar Hill. Oscar saw K-Flock was in his gang's territory and walked out of the barbershop to confront him. What happened next wasn't on security cam footage, but there was apparently a brief dispute, and then K-Flock pulled out a firearm and shot Oscar in the neck and back. K-Flock successfully fled the scene and was hiding back in the Bronx, but 7 days later, he turned himself in to the NYPD. K-Flock's defense team argued that K-Flock was acting in self-defense, and the jury ultimately agreed. Hernandez was also armed, and K-Flock was acquitted of the murder charge, but that didn't mean he was free to go home. Federal prosecutors had built a much larger case against him, accusing K-Flock of being a leader in the Southside and DOA gang under the RICO Act. Instead of focusing only on the Oscar Hernandez shooting, the feds argued that K-Flock was part of a much broader pattern of violence, including attempted murders in 2020 and 2021, and that his music helped fuel the gang's streak of violence. His defense beat.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop it here. This got too much bad energy on it, man. That's these niggas is dumb, bro. Sorry, you getting on Instagram Live and then y'all self-snitching in y'all raps. Listen, man, raise your kids right, man. Monitor what they do. But yo, that's my show. Thanks for tuning into The Late Show with CEO. Like, share, subscribe to the channel. I appreciate everybody that was here tonight. I'm almost monetized. Make sure you share the video with a friend. And I'm out of here, y'all. So, peace.